AFR On Demand is brought to you by Breck Golf. Try Beaver Creek today, just 20 minutes from downtown Baton Rouge in the Zachary area. They've got a PGA Tour driving range, a short game practice area, 30 to 40-yard practice shots. It's a great place to chip and putt and practice if you don't have time for a full round. Book your tee time today, golf.breck.org, golf.breck.org.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Raising Cane studio.
Let's rock!
Hour 3, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. AFR presented by Relief Windows, proud partner of LSU Athletics. I'm Matt.
You're a loser, Matt.
Shut up, kid. Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
Muso. And Mr. Toby Tomplin. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there and make it a good one. 5 o'clock quitting time. Glad you are driving home with us. On Friday, we learned the projected or predicted order of finish from the SEC media. It's something that the media is asked to do every year at Media Days, which is to project a champion and the projected order of finish in the conference. And by and large, the media gets it dead wrong. Year in and year out, in the last 34 tries, the media has correctly predicted the champion just 10 times. And really, Nick Saban's Alabama squads were a big reason why the number was even that good. So, so there's a lot of conversation. Overwhelmingly, Texas, Georgia, Texas were at the top, and with good reason. I mean, those are two of the most talented teams, and certainly Georgia has a favorable schedule to get there, and they have the answer at quarterback, so there's no questions there. So naturally, it makes a lot of sense. What follows those two is what generated the most amount of conversation. I was a guest here on Monday on the Chuck Oliver Show, which, shout out, you heard Chuck following AFR from 6 to 8 weeknights. And Chuck's awesome. He does afternoons in Atlanta, does the Chuck Oliver Show, which is on 70 stations across the Southeast. He talks college football every day. And it surprised me because Chuck told me on his ballot he had Georgia and LSU. LSU is his number 2 team in the conference. He is a believer in Lane Kiffin, year one, the $50 million roster spend, etc. By the way, Nick Saban on the McAfee show today, number 3 Muse, believes that he's kind of in that camp that Lane's going to be really good at LSU.
I think Lane's going to do really, really well there. I think LSU is a tremendous job. They got a lot of good players in the state. Those players like to stay close to home. They love LSU. He's got a really good fan base. He's got a lot of support. I think the administration is aligned to help him be successful. And he's been successful everywhere he's been. Really. I mean, since he was at Alabama, we were successful, and he contributed to it. He went to Florida Atlantic or wherever. He had success there, turned it around, did a phenomenal job at Ole Miss, and I think there's more potential for success at LSU than any place he's ever been.
Okay, so there's a lot of people who are believing Lane's going to have success at LSU. I'm one of them, okay? The way I've said it is if you look at the next 5-year sample, Lane Kiffin at LSU, Pete Golding at Ole Miss, and those are going to be compared, right, wrong, or different, that like their paths will walk a parallel line, and we will compare what they do throughout the duration of their times there. I don't think this is going on a ledge. I think Lane will win more at LSU than Pete Golding will at Ole Miss. History tells us that's the case. I don't know what will happen this year, which is what I think is the most interesting part of this conversation, is if Lane can do it quickly, turnaround. And the schedule is, for me, number 2 after Leavitt's health. Leavitt's health, to me, is paramount. The schedule is the next thing. And you can look at a couple of spots on the schedule that are very obvious. It's at the end of September, where you go back-to-back weeks at Ole Miss, home against Texas A&M. I do think at Kentucky, at Auburn in October, are spots where you better have your head up. You should win those games on the road, but it's hard to win on the road in the SEC. And then you go to November, and we all know what awaits. Bama, Texas, at Tennessee, at Arkansas. Bama, Texas, tough games at home. Third consecutive week in conference, you got to go on the road to Tennessee, which who knows what they're going to look like come November with a new quarterback. And then you got Arkansas, so back-to-back road conference games to finish the schedule. That's one of the things LSU has working against it, is how tough that schedule is. I mean, in theory, let's say you split Ole Miss, Texas A&M, you split Bama, Texas. Well, you can't have a letdown against Kentucky or Auburn. You have to go on the road and win back-to-back road conference games to finish the season if you want to go 10-2 and get in the playoff. So that's what LSU's up against. I think it's so interesting when you look, though, at the other perceived contenders in the league and what their schedules play out. Like, one of the reasons Georgia is projected by everybody to win the league or at least be in that championship game is the schedule. They go Tennessee State, Western Kentucky, at Arkansas, so just 3 straight wins. Then they get Oklahoma at home. Then they get Vanderbilt at home in the first month of the season without Diego Pavia. And then they have to go to Tuscaloosa to take on Alabama, who they just skull-drug in the SEC championship game. Then they're at home against Auburn. Deep South's oldest rivalry, they get it at home. And then they have an open date. They should be undefeated. Tough game at home against Oklahoma. At Bama, I get it, but they should be undefeated. Open date, they get Florida in Atlanta this year. It's a virtual home game. They got to go to Ole Miss. So rivalry game against Florida, then at Ole Miss, which will be tough. And then they finish home against Missouri, at South Carolina, home against Georgia Tech. Like, if Georgia isn't minimum 10-2 and in the playoff, something went horrifically wrong this year. Like, something went otherworldly wrong. You look at Texas, we know they probably have the most talented roster, the most guys that are going to go into the NFL draft this year, all that stuff. But the schedule, we know Ohio State in week 2. So it's bookended by Texas State and UTSA. So Texas State, Ohio State, UTSA. So they get the layup before Ohio State and the breather after. But then it's at Tennessee, open date, home against Oklahoma. Or that's the Oklahoma in Dallas, excuse me. Oklahoma and Dallas. Florida, Ole Miss, Mississippi State. This is great news. They get back-to-back home games before they finish in November at Missouri, at LSU, Arkansas, at Texas A&M. And there's landmines everywhere. Ohio State, at Tennessee, home against Oklahoma, home against Ole Miss, at LSU, at A&M. There's landmines everywhere. But Texas is going to be favored in probably every game they play this year. So they should be there at the end. You look at a team like Ole Miss, why maybe are odds makers not as high on Ole Miss? The odds makers have Ole Miss 6th or 7th in the SEC, depending on where you place your bets. After Louisville, Charlotte to open, it's LSU, at Florida, open date, early open date, by the way, at Vandy, Mizzou, at Texas, Auburn, Georgia, at Oklahoma, Wofford, Mississippi State to finish. I mean, LSU, at Florida, at Texas, Georgia, at Oklahoma. It's 5 games right there. You got to go 3-2 in those 5 and not trip up anywhere else to be a 10-2 football team. That's when most people look at Ole Miss and are like, yeah, I don't see it because of the schedule. The team I'll continue to tell you that I'm high on is Oklahoma. And nobody's schedule is easy in the SEC, and they do have to go at Michigan. But if in week 2. But similar like we talked about with Texas, they have the hard game on the road. Well, Texas at home against Ohio State, but Oklahoma goes UTEP at Michigan, New Mexico. So you get the layup before and the breather after. And you got to go to Georgia. And you get an open date, and you got the game in Dallas against Texas. But if you can manage to get through that part of the schedule at 4-1, and that includes at Michigan, at Georgia, neutral site against Texas. If you can get through that at 4-1, which basically I think they need to beat Michigan and split against Georgia and Texas. If you do that and you're 4-1, you're home free. Kentucky, at Mississippi State, South Carolina, at Florida will be tough. You're home against Ole Miss, home against A&M, at Missouri. They'll be favored the rest of the way. they'll be favored the rest of the way. So that's why I keep looking at Oklahoma. Hold the ticket on the Sooners this year. All right, it's after further review. We're glad you're with us. Hey, thanks to everybody who entered for our free fortified roof giveaway over at Parish Construction and Roofing. Can't wait to announce the winners. One in New Orleans, one Baton Rouge. We'll do that this week. But listen, with the rain coming every single day, seemingly, if you got issues with your roof, noticing a water spot on your roof, we'd love to help you out. ParishBuilt.com, ParishBuilt.com. Tell you every day, do business with someone you know. Parish Construction and Roofing. That's me and Terrio and Tilly and Joe, our whole staff. And, of course, now our newest partner, Saints Hall of Fame quarterback Drew Brees, our newest partner at Parish. And this is not a paid endorsement. Drew is an equity partner in our company. We approached him about it. We went through about 8 months of negotiations. He vetted everything and was proud to be a partner with us. And so we're thrilled to have Drew Brees on board with Parish Construction and Roofing. Do business with someone you know. Parish Construction and Roofing. ParishBuilt.com. ParishBuilt.com. All right, it's after further review. Let's knock out a quick break. Drew Brees' former teammate, Lance Moore, joins us next. Talk some Saints. It's AFR.
After further review.
Get Gordon. Get it done. Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys. You've been injured in an accident. It's not your fault. You know what to do. Do what injured people in our state have done for 3 decades. Get Gordon and get it done. You can always go to getgordon.com, getgordon.com. Website's easy to use. You can see past client results. You can get in touch with the G team there as well. As a matter of fact, if you'd rather text than call, there's a chat bubble right there on the homepage. Right there on the bottom right, it'll pop up right in the bottom corner. Boom, you'll be chatting with an associate in seconds. But if you'd rather talk to someone, I get that. Get in a wreck, any type of accident, what are your options? It can be scary. Even maybe if you were in a wreck out of state. A lot of people traveling for vacations. If that's you and you're not sure what to do, call the G team. Get Gordon and get it done. Call 888-8888, 888-8888. Offices all over Louisiana, so no matter where you are, just dial 888-8888 or go to getgordon.com, getgordon.com. You want Louisiana's best personal injury lawyer? You want Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys. GetGordon.com, GetGordon.com. Get Gordon. Get it done.
After further review, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding, and oh, we do shutters too.
Earlier this summer, New Orleans Saints quarterbacks, receivers, went a little player-led workout out in San Diego with the GOAT, Drew Brees, and Lance Moore was there as well. Former Saint, great, good enough to join us for a couple of minutes. Lance, we always appreciate it, man. How are you?
Doing well, enjoying this, 80-degree weather, sunny at my pool right now. It's summertime everywhere, right? But it's always summer in San Diego.
Why would you do that? Oh man, I don't know if you know, Lance, but this week is literally one of the hottest weeks on record. The air temps are going to get close to 100 with the heat index is supposed to approach 110 every day this week in Louisiana.
Yikes. No, thank you.
Oh man. God. I can only think about those camps in Jackson that y'all were in with Sean. Everyone talks about his first one in 2006.
Yes.
You have nightmares about that?
You know what? I was going into my second season.
Yeah.
And was mostly practice squad guy and was even home early in the season. So I wasn't in a position to complain about the heat, the grind, and all the stuff that was as crazy as all the veterans said. They ended up calling us the Junction Boys because the vets were like, this is ridiculous. Like, somebody's going to die out here, and it's going to be the coach's fault. And for me, as a young guy, I was just like, I'm happy for this opportunity. I'll do whatever it takes to make this team.
I love it. The CBA in 2011 took care of a lot of that. But in the meantime, it looked beautiful in San Diego. Lance, if you wouldn't mind, just walk us through how did that all came together, the workouts out there?
Well, I mean, it was something that Drew used to do back in the day, right? Like he's lived out in San Diego in the offseason since he was a Charger, clearly. And so a lot of the years he'd have a group of the guys come out, and it wasn't just a throwing session, right? Like there's one of Drew's business partners and buddies named Todd Durkin owns a facility out here. So the guys get workouts, they get massages, they get the nutrition, they get all the recovery that they could ask for. And they go out and they get work in on the field. And I think Shough, I don't know if he reached out to Drew or if Drew reached out to him, but somehow, some way, Shough ended up working out with Todd Durkin this offseason. And so I think that's kind of the idea that Shough got. Well, Drew used to do this, and it worked out well for them, so maybe I should invite my guys out. And like you said earlier, there was some sessions here last week, and I got a chance to get out there on the field with the guys. And, I guess it was 2 weeks ago now. But just the level of concentration, the level of work, and actually getting to see Tyler Shough lead guys with no coaches around, kind of running the show, it was pretty special to be a part of. And I now understand what the Saints understood and thought when they drafted him in the second round last year.
Can we dig a little deeper there, Lance? Because that's, I think, the fascinating thing that most people are interested in. Like, the simple question is why, how, what did you see that led you to believe that?
Well, the thing that stood out the most was his leadership. Like, I was expecting to show up on the first day and Drew and Todd Durkin would be out there kind of running the show and Tyler's just kind of quarterbacking. It was like the complete opposite. Drew wasn't even there the first day because he was at a World Cup game. But Tyler literally ran the whole show, and he was coaching every position up and talking about the things that he wants to see and where they need to improve and all the adjustments off of certain things. Like, I was thoroughly impressed. And it's not just about talking in front of the guys or telling them what you want from them, but it's the response that I saw from the guys, the respect that he already has gotten from the guys. And I think that's a big part of the reason why the team was so successful with Tyler Shough at the helm last year. Like, they like this guy. They respect this guy, and they see the potential in him. And now it's about putting the work in so that they can develop the chemistry and the camaraderie and the timing and all the things that you do in the offseason leading into training camp. I see this as a unit that could be sneaky good this season.
Lance, if I ask you, and Lance Moore is our guest, the intangibles clearly are there. Physically, anything that you saw from Tyler Shough that caught your eye?
He can spin it. I mean, it's one thing to see it on TV. It's one thing to see it on highlights and social media, but to see it in person, it's pretty impressive now. Like, you talk about arm strength a lot when it comes to quarterbacks, especially quarterbacks in the NFL. But to me, there's more to it than just how strong the guy's arm is. Like, is he accurate? Is his timing good? And it seems to me like Tyler Shough has all three of those things. Doing it over and over again with his pass catchers is going to be what kind of propels them to the next level. But as far as the physical tools, I mean, he's got the size, he's got the athleticism. You couple that with the intangibles, like, he could be scary good.
Let me flip it and ask you about some of the pass catchers who were out there. See, Chris Olave was there, Jordan Tyson. A lot of people around here, of course, know Barry Brown from his year at LSU. What or who maybe stood out to you among the pass catchers?
You know what? It's funny you ask, and you mentioned Chris Olave first. We all know how great of a player Chris Olave is, but to me, the thing that stood out most, like, he was the only true veteran receiver that was here. I could see, based on his reaction to the things that I was saying to him or the coaching points, that he's not satisfied. He wants to take coaching. He wants to keep getting better. And he understands, like most true pros do, that you're never, ever a finished product. And you're always trying to get better and improve. And I saw that from him each time out. And I really feel like he had his career year last year, but I think he's going to take another step this season. And part of that, to me, is obviously you got to stay healthy. But beyond that, I think a little bit more yards after the catch this season potentially, and really being a guy that can be counted on in big-time moments consistently. It's one thing to say, okay, this guy's got this many third down conversions or this guy's got this many touchdowns, but having big-time moments, having a guy that you can just say, hey, we're going to our guy, I think that's what we're going to see more of this year from Chris Olave.
Lance Moore is with us for a couple more minutes, former Saint great. We're all looking to see if Olave can build off of last year. They obviously bring in a young guy in Jordan Tyson, actually 3 rookie draft picks at receiver. That's the most in, since the 80s, since they had that many draft picks at a receiver. Any of the rookies stand out? Like anything catch your eye?
Well, yeah. I mean, they're all. Jordan Tyson was not here, so I'll let that cat out of the bag. Right. But the other two guys. I mean, Bryce Lance, a guy that's got so many tools physically. He's big. He's long. He can run. He's got great ball skills as far as tracking the ball down the field. But I think he's a little bit wrong. I think this training camp is going to be huge for him to be able to get the type of coaching, the level of coaching that it's going to take for him to be a consistent guy on Sundays. I think the ability's there, but now he needs to get the coaching and kind of take the next step on the mental side of the game. He's going to be fine. Barryon Brown is a guy that's so interesting to me. He's freakishly athletic, can run, got great ball skills, got a great attitude and kind of personality, but it's like this dude is going to be so good in the return game. They're going to have to find ways to get him the ball on offense too, because he's so electric. And I could see him being a part of this offense. I don't think it's going to be a situation where he's only returning punts and kicks, because he's too dynamic with the ball in his hands.
Lance, you were, just one more if I could, you were obviously a part of a seismic transition in the organization. You were a rookie in 2005, the Katrina year, as we mentioned, and then was the Peyton Breeze era all the way through the Super Bowl. Do you notice, even from afar, any similar characteristics with Kellen Moore taking over and trying to build, obviously not the Katrina situation, that's unique all in of itself. I'm just talking about building an organization and what it took to go from a team that wasn't winning to one that became a contender?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it just starts with the culture shift. A coach, especially a first-time coach, to be able to come in and kind of instill his culture, get a bunch of his own guys and his own philosophy pushed upon the guys, and the guys embracing it fully. That, to me, is the sign of a true head coach. Not to say that Dennis Allen wasn't trying to insert his culture, but as a part of, being part of Sean Payton's staff for so long, it's hard to create your own thing that's completely different. And it's hard to break away from something that you know so well and had so much success in. It's pretty cool to see the guys embrace that. The guys seem to genuinely love and care about one another. And that, to me, is like one of those things that isn't spoken about a lot. But the teams that spend time together, the teams that genuinely love and care for one another and like being around each other, are usually the teams that win.
He is Lance Moore, former New Orleans Saint. Great. Got an up-close view of the Saints out in San Diego a couple of weeks ago. Enjoy that 87, humidity-free, beautiful sunshine, the sandy white beaches. Go down to Del Mar ever? Hang out there?
Absolutely. Right, 15 minutes from my house.
Man, I tell you. Next year, we're doing the entire month of shows in July at Lance Moore's house. Going to Del Mar every day. He doesn't know.
I'm down.
Lance, we appreciate you always, man. Thank you so much for making a few minutes for us.
Yes, sir. Take care.
Be well. That's the great Lance Moore. We appreciate his time joining us here. It's after further review. We're brought about First South Farm Credit. FirstSouthFarmCredit.com. FirstSouthFarmCredit.com. If you're thinking of buying land, your first call should be to First South Farm Credit. We're getting near the fall, which means we're coming up on hunting season, and hear it so often from so many, and really every year. When you're on a lease and you're hunting on someone else's property, you always just approach it differently. Sometimes you don't want to bag the big buck because you want to leave that for the property owner, whatever the case may be. You want to own your own piece of property, whether it's your own hunting property, your recreational property. Maybe it's 20 acres to build your family's dream home. They can help you do it at First South Farm Credit, because they've been helping Louisianians buy land since 1916. FirstSouthFarmCredit.com. FirstSouthFarmCredit.com. If you're thinking of buying land, your first call should be to First South Farm Credit. You can start with the Ultimate Recreational Land Buying Guide. It's a free resource right on the homepage at FirstSouthFarmCredit.com. Your first call should be to First South Farm Credit. FirstSouthFarmCredit.com. Thanks again to Lance Moore for spending a couple of minutes with us. Love that conversation. I love to hear the validation from a guy who lived through the development and the evolution of the Saints organization from a perennial loser to a Super Bowl champion. And I love hearing all the things he said there about Tyler Shough. Yeah, I was going to ask him if Jordan Tyson was there, because the photos, Jordan Tyson is not in the photos that Tyler Shough posted. And like, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. For any number of reasons he wasn't there, who knows? Maybe he'll give that explanation, but I don't think that's necessarily a negative. But it's great to hear the things about the other rookies as well, and a really talented receiver room there. All right, it's after further review. We'll knock out a quick break, come back. When we come back, by the way, not talking a ton of basketball right now. We're on the Saints starting camp tomorrow and LSU starting camp next week. But the SEC did release the basketball schedule today. Mark Wise, SEC basketball analyst, he'll join us next, knock around a little bit, get a thought on Will Wade's first schedule. It's AFR.
After further review.
We were just talking with Lance Moore about the Heat, with the Heat indexes of 110. It's 5:30, and the air temp right now is 95 degrees. At 5:30 in the afternoon, it's 95 degrees. I mean, say it all the time. We can go inside and get out of the heat and the AC. That AC unit sits outside your home 24/7, 365. Never gets a break. Make sure you take care of that thing. And if you have any issues, if your AC isn't keeping up for whatever reason, call River City's 1 Hour Air. 752-0001, 752-0001, 752-0001. Remember, nights, holidays, weekends, they'll always come out. Nights, holidays, weekends. They won't charge you extra either. It's River City's 1 Hour Air, because the bottom line is, just because it's Saturday at noon doesn't mean you should have to wait until Monday to be comfortable in your home. River City's 1 Hour Air. They're just the best. Give them a buzz. 752-0001. Whether they're always on time or you don't pay a dime.
After further review, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding, and we do shutters too.
Might be staring down the start of Saints training camp tomorrow and LSU next week, but SEC basketball dropped the schedule for this year, and of course it is the maiden voyage of the Will Wade redo in Baton Rouge. Mark Wise, ESPN basketball analyst, good enough to jump aboard with us for a couple minutes. Mark, great to have you back, man. How are you?
I appreciate it, Matt. I always love talking hoops in the middle of July, and I'm like you. When the schedule dropped today, it's the first little jolt of a new season just around the corner, and now I'll be looking for the early season tournaments that will release their TV networks, and then the TV networks will figure out the rest of the season. So, yeah, this is kind of the first step, and it's kind of exciting.
Are you a football guy?
I am a football guy. Just don't tell any of my basketball ex-coaching friends.
Fair enough. Who's your team?
The Chicago Bears by marriage.
Okay, all right.
Cubs and Bears by marriage.
All right, fair enough. I can respect it if there's no native team. Okay, yeah. You see the schedule release. Your first reaction is what?
This is a continuation, and I'll draw your attention to it this way. I'll draw your attention to what the league did last year for the first time. The back half of the conference schedule was a concerted effort to highlight some marquee matchups on every Saturday. So that didn't happen by accident. So I went to the very last day of the season that was just released earlier, Saturday, March 6th. And on that day, Kentucky's at Florida, Texas is at Texas A&M, Tennessee's at Vandy, Bama's at Auburn. That kind of scheduling just didn't and does not happen by accident. There is a real concern, and I like it. I like it very much, that let's put, when the back half of the season, when the games matter the most, let's put the big-time teams and let them play each other. On that day, March 6th, LSU is at Missouri, by the way. I finished my season last year at LSU. And at the 3 overtime game.
I remember.
And then, how about this? I did the Southland Conference tournament 3 days later and had another 3 overtime game.
Did you ever coach a 3 overtime game?
That's a great question. I don't think I did.
Yeah.
But some of the crew worked both of those games, you can imagine, Baton Rouge and
sure.
Lake Charles. Guess what they thought the problem was?
You.
Yeah, no question.
Hey,
was mud, man.
What is You mentioned the backloaded schedule on that final playing day. What does that mean for coaches?
Well, you want the truth serum or
give me the truth always.
Yeah,
yep.
every one of these coaches today, I promise you, are looking at their schedule and going, they will never admit it. Never, ever will they admit it. But they're looking at it and going, if we can get that one, that gives us 2 in a row going into that game on the road. And then after that, if we can get 3 of the next 4, now we're coming out of the first half. We're going to be okay. We're going to be 6-3, or we're going to be 5-4. They all do it. I understand. I've lived it. The one day at a time, the one game at a time. But they all look at that schedule and play around with it.
Mark Wise is our guest, ESPN college basketball analyst. Did you have a chance to look in advance of us talking? Did you have a chance to take a look at LSU schedule?
A little bit. I'm always curious of who everybody plays twice. I think the league has done a good job of balancing out home and aways, or those single games at home, single games on the road. It's the teams that you play twice, and maybe you can get shortchanged some years. But I know LSU, I did look at theirs. I think they've got, if I'm not mistaken, I think they've got A&M, Auburn, and Arkansas.
Mm-hmm.
Auburn is a great unknown, replacing so many people. Arkansas is going to be, again, like Cal usually is, freshman heavy, and A&M with buckyball. My first sense is they're kind of middle of the road with a degree of difficulty with their 3 home and homes.
Okay. This may be an impossible question to answer right now, Mark, because we don't know who's on the roster. What do you think?
I knew you were going to ask me. Yeah.
I'm just curious. By the way, if you have an opinion on the roster construction as it's been presented, please, I'd love to hear that. My question, though, was going to be, what do you think is a realistic expectation?
Golly, Matt, you have to ask me after I know the roster.
Yeah, I get it.
It's just, if RJ doesn't get, if he's not part of the mix, that has to be a major ding.
Sure.
Now, trust me, I got all kinds of faith in Will Wade. I've seen it up close and personal at VCU. I've seen it at LSU. I've had the Southland the last couple of years, so I've seen it there. The dude can flat coach. But you've got to have players, and if in this day and age of roster construction, it's just hard to turn over. And when you turn over coaches, it can be a real difficult thing to do.
You think? Let's assume they get the guys we're talking about. Is that a tournament team? You have to, again, Matt, I'm not dodging. You've seen me. You've had me on. You know I don't dodge questions. Yeah. But I have to see the other rosters. Yeah.
It's just not fair to say, they're a tournament team. I got to know what the other rosters look like.
So tell me if this is fair, because this is the way I think people here look at it. I'll get your reaction to this. If you make the type of financial investment LSU has in the roster, which we're all presuming Will's going to be able to land the plane on a lot of these international guys, that should be one of the best 68 rosters in the country. And so you should, or 72 now in the country, and you should hear your name called on Selection Sunday. Reasonable?
Not if you go 6-10 in a difficult league.
Yeah.
Or 6-12 or 18 league games.
Right,
so,
right.
My math's a little off there. Sorry, you caught me in July.
I don't math either, but I knew what you meant. But it's like we saw. Didn't we see Texas a few years ago win 6 league games and make the tournament?
No, I don't think so anymore. I just don't. I think that was a special one-time. If you went back to that, there were about 9 things that had to happen for all of that for all those teams to get in. And every one of the 9 happened. Okay. In the correct order.
Okay.
So if you want to get in, you better be 8-10.
Okay.
And below that is iffy. Now, again, I come back to this. I think the league, I know the league's going to be really good again. How good? I got to see the rosters. But I do know this, and you know me, I'm an offensive guy. I love me some offense. I talk to coaches, what do you have to do to win? We got to defend and rebound. Defend and rebound. No, you don't. You got to score.
Yep.
You got to score first. You got to rebound second. Mix in enough defense. That's what Florida did to win the NCAA tournament. They weren't a great defensive team, not that team anyway, but they were good enough. And yet last year, I think there were 8 teams in Ken Palm's offensive efficiency in the top 20, but only 2 on the defensive side. So the league's got to get a little better on the defensive end.
Okay. All right, last thing for you. Mark Wise is our guest. I'm always fascinated by the non-conference schedule too, because it's a challenge at LSU because typically you're not going to be able to schedule series with the blue bloods in college basketball. So sometimes you got to get creative. Well, I look at this and I go, okay, well, they're going to play Gonzaga in Spokane.
Yeah,
they're going to play
that game.
They're going to play the AccuSure series in Palm Springs. We don't know the opponents yet. They're going to play Wake Forest at home in the SEC ACC Challenge. They're going to go to Houston, play Houston in the Toyota Center. And they also got to have a home game against Washington State. What do you see when you look up and down that non-conference schedule? Because Will Wade always has he's always got a method to his madness.
Yeah, you better not overlook High Point. That's the first. When I looked at their schedule today, the non-conference schedule, everybody will point to the same games that you're pointing to. But man, High Point is dangerous. Their program, their facilities, their investment, certainly not at the mid-major level. I like this schedule. By the way, am I seeing this right? Is LSU playing 19 exhibition games?
No, it's 19, but they're going to play 3 of them.
See, I made you laugh.
Well done. Well done. You had me on my toes. I'm like, wait a minute. What did I miss?
No. I may drive over and see the FSU game because that's only a couple of hours for me. But I would love to be in Lake Charles for that first one on October 8th.
Yeah.
All right, I got a little sidetracked there. For this team, for any new coach, he's sprinkled in enough quality in the non-conference, in my opinion. I've always said if you want to evaluate non-conference schedules, the number one thing is you must play a road game, a true road game. And I don't know that there's. I guess the Gonzaga's in Spokane,
but it's not on campus.
But it's not on campus, and the Houston game's at the Toyota Center. But come on,
correct.
Come on, those are road games. So if you have road games, and you've got to, in my opinion, you've got to have a featured home game on the schedule for your fans. Maybe they got fortunate. You could argue whether you want to call Wake a feature game, but It's at least there, and the Washington State game. So again, there's enough there to like, in my opinion.
It'll be here before we know it. You mentioned October 8th, the exhibition against McNeese. I was supposed to be there doing my show that day, but LSU plays Kentucky in football that weekend, and I will be on a plane to Lexington on that Thursday instead of in Lake Charles. I'm bummed I'll miss it.
So you'll be in Lexington?
I'll be heading to Lexington for the football game that weekend, yes.
Okay, you do know that that's where I'm from.
Okay.
You probably didn't.
I didn't know that's where you're from, no.
You're going to God's country.
I love it so much. Oh, trust me, I'm a whiskey nerd. I'm doing the Bourbon Trail.
There you go. Have you done it before?
I have not, which that always shocks people because Mark, if you saw my office, you would go, "Oh my God."
Yeah.
I probably have about 300 bottles of whiskey in my office. So
okay, you'll love it, but I've got one huge piece of advice for you.
Okay.
That's stay away from Keeneland.
Okay. Fair enough.
Because whatever you're investing in that bourbon, you could lose it quickly at Keeneland.
Hey man, it's not an investment if it's not going to get a return. And trust me, that whiskey ain't getting no return, brother. All that's doing is getting me a nice little sipping buzz every now and again. And when you have the Tigers this year, let me know. Come over, we'll crack open a bottle. We'll have a good time.
All right, brother. Thanks for having me back.
It's my pleasure. Thank you. That's Mark Wise, ESPN college basketball analyst. We appreciate a couple of minutes. It's after further review. We're not got our final break of the show. No Otter locks, so we'll do our locks and what we learn next to wrap up the show. It's AFR.
AFR.
Man, I'm going to tell you, I am so glad to be home after like 2 months of seemingly endless travel. It is so good to be back on a routine. And a huge part of my health routine every day is part of my conversations with Gabe and the team over at Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness. Now, listen, yes, they do ED treatments if that's what you need. And it's not just pills. They have all different types of treatments to treat a variety of different issues. But that's only a part of what they do. Hormone replacement therapy, huge. Man, if you're on HRT and you're not at Goodwood, you're probably overpaying. They have the lowest prices, never any contracts, there's no membership fees, and your blood labs you do every 6 months, they foot the bill for that. They don't pass it on to you. YourGoodwood.com, YourGoodwood.com, and peptides. Everybody talks about peptides. People want to learn about peptides. Go to Goodwood. Lowest prices, never any contracts. They have dozens of options. They can help educate you on what you need. YourGoodwood.com, YourGoodwood.com. If you need a metal building, you need ProForm Steel. They're the best. You know Brandon Golson, been in the game forever. This is the new venture, ProForm Steel. You can always go to the website, proformla.com, to request a quote. That's where I would recommend you start, proformla.com. Metal buildings built right from design to delivery, proformla.com. One of the key differentiators for ProForm Steel is their lead times. Their lead times are typically a month or two faster than competitors. And the big reason is because everything's in-house. They're typically a month, I said a week, a month shorter lead time because everything's in-house. They produce everything. Purling, sheet metal, beam fab, everything in-house. And buy a metal building from them, they'll deliver it for free. ProFormLA.com.
After further review, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. And oh, we do shutters too.
Down the stretch we come, final segment here on the Monday edition of AFR, presented by Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. Windows, door siding, shutters and shades, Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. This is typically when Jimmy would be here for Otter Locks. Now, unfortunately, Jimmy decided to go spend a month out with Lance Moore.
Where the surf meets the turf.
In Del Mar. So, by the way, next year when I do my baseball and golf trip with my brother-in-law and my nephew. Last year we went to Boston. This year we went to Arizona. We decided next year we're going to go do San Diego. We're going to go watch Padres game. We're going to go play Torrey Pines.
Absolutely.
So that's
South Course, I hope.
We'll see. I haven't looked deeply enough into it. Know what's available, what we can do, what we can't, whatever. But I was on the way home from Tampa last week. Hester Rivers and I took the second flight, and we had a layover in Nashville. That was the travel day from hell. But we had the layover in Nashville, and so I was telling Hester about this, and so he starts like pulling out the map. We looked up his old house in San Diego, the whole thing. It's for sale, by the way, right now. The house he lived in. It was Philip Rivers' house. That
of course it was.
That he ended up moving into, and they rented while they lived out there for 5 years, and it's for sale now. Anyway, he's like, look, that's where Jackson took his first steps. He's like, look at it. It was cool. Anyway, but so he's giving me a lot of tips, so I'm pretty excited about it. I don't know where I was going with that. Oh, Lance Moore. Yeah, next year, so I'll just call Lance Moore.
Yeah.
And I'll just go stay with Lance Moore out in Del Mar.
Smart.
Or in San Diego and then drive to Del Mar, where the surf meets the turf. Okay, since we don't have Otter locks, let's do our locks. Best bet for the night, Muse, Pauly, and I. You had enough lead time. Major League, there's no WNBA games tonight. Major League Baseball has already 4 games that are underway already. So we'll give our best bet based on what's still on the board. Muse, Would you like to start us off?
Sure. I'm going to go Red Sox Yankees parlay. Moneyline parlay here. Come back plus 158. Now, Sox are at the A's and Yankees are at the White Sox. Max Fried on the bump.
Parlay, what's coming back at?
Plus 158. $1.58 there.
Plus $1.58. How about you? Look at you betting on the Yankees, my guy. You're a Yankee fan. Paul, you got anything for us?
I'll go Reds, Guardians. I'm going to go money line on the Reds, minus 161.
Okay.
Scone.
Oh, I thought you were giving me a parlay. So it's Reds, Guardians is the game that you're taking the money line. Ooh, juicy. Juicy money line there. Juicy money line play. I'm going to go in-game. Okay. Phillies and the Marlins right now are in-game. It's tied at 2 in the bottom of the first, but I'm going to take the under 10.5. Under 10.5 in-game Phillies Marlins. You got to jump on it right now. It's at plus $1.08. It is juiced to the over at minus $1.41. So I am going to take a shot there. Phillies and Marlins under 10.5 in-game. Get it now while you can. We're brought to you by Our Lady of the Lake, championship health partner of LSU Athletics. OLOLRMC.com/LSU. Or you can go to the FMOL website we talk about often. It's FMOLhealth.org/LSU. Championship partner of LSU Athletics. And we're thrilled that they're partnered with us here as well as we inch closer to the season. We're going to have the opportunity to they have 23 NIL athletes on the LSU football team. Part of their deliverables are going to come on AFR. So we're going to have all those guys on the show, which I'm really looking forward to doing throughout camp and throughout the season, continuing our partnership with FMOL Health, Our Lady of the Lake. Okay, we got like 8 seconds. So we all learned stuff. And we'll talk about that stuff tomorrow.
AFR.
I screwed that up. I didn't leave us enough time for what we learned. My bad. Sorry. As we get on down the road, I'm talking about Rouse's, the official supermarket of the Saints, Rouse's.com, Rouse's.com. I thought about Rouse's today because I was editing a story. Ross Jackson wrote a story for LouisianaSports.net. It was sort of projecting Chris Olave's contract, and so I had to get a photo for the story. And the photo I got was a practice photo, and it had the Rouse's patch on the jersey. Remember, the Rouse's, official supermarket of the Saints, and they have the jersey patches for the practice jerseys for the New Orleans Saints. They are interwoven there with the Who Dat Nation as the Saints hit the practice field Tuesday to start training camp. Of course, Rouse's will be front and center and all throughout the remainder of this summer and every day. From Lake Charles to Orange Beach and everywhere in between. Make sure if you're making groceries, you need something for lunch or dinner, make sure you pop in and see our friends over at Rouse's, the official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints. Rouse's.com, Rouse's.com. Been doing it for 100 years. Rouse's, this feels like home.